Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the Rideshare Hub. My name is Dylan. Thanks so much for coming by. The Rideshare Hub is a place for Uber and Lyft drivers to learn how to make more money. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over 7 things that Uber and Lyft won't tell you about rideshare driving. Yes, this is a secret, guys. So when you're signing up to be an Uber or Lyft driver, there are some things that Uber and Lyft don't tell you about, don't warn you about. You know, I'm going to get into all of that. So if you're a driver, you probably figured this out, but if some of these, maybe you're still gonna realize that some of these things, oh yeah, you know, Dylan, you are right. You know, they never told me about this. Why didn't they tell me about this? If you're a new driver, I'm gonna tell you. So, you know, or if you're thinking about signing up, I'm gonna tell you before you sign up, so that way you can be the best driver. Everybody has their own different strategy, and I feel like this knowledge can really help us together make more money, which is why you're here today to learn how to make more money. That's the Rideshare Hub. So before I get into the video, if you are interested in driving for Uber or Lyft, or if you are a driver, hit the thumbs up button. And if you want to support me, follow my dream of being you know, a YouTuber, hit the thumbs up button. It does help me out a ton. And also subscribe if you do want to be notified whenever I do post videos. All right, without further ado, let's get right into it. Also, I know you're probably thinking, I gotta get out of here. Somebody just came home. Oh, gotta put my seatbelt on. I was just sitting outside this guy's house and somebody got home. I have this like picturesque, perfect view out here, and that's why I went to film the video today. But now I gotta move. All right, let's see if I can go sit outside somebody else's house without them getting home. I'm super awkward, guys. If I'm sitting and somebody gets home, I gotta leave. I had to bounce out of there. All right, I don't think anyone is here home at this house. So all right, so without further ado, here are the 7 things that Uber and Lyft won't tell you about rideshare driving. Number 1 is that there are a lot of expenses that come with being a rideshare driver. For starters, you're using your own car, unless you're using a rideshare rental car, which in that case you are paying for the rental out of your own pocket. But there are a lot of things that, you know, you do have to pay for out of your own pocket. Like for me, you know, I have to pay for this car, and not only the price of the car, but the maintenance on the car, the gas on the car, oil changes, tires. You know, one of my tires got super bald because I was just driving so much, and so I had to buy that. You know, that was another $200 right there. One of my idle pulleys was getting like really shredded, so I had to buy a new one there. What else? I mean, there's just so many things that come up as expenses when you're driving rideshare, which is why I do stress the rideshare rental program like Uber Fare. Yes, you do have to pay the, you know, weekly fee, but you're not spending any of your own money on depreciation or wear and tear. So yeah, that's definitely a big one. And it's almost like, yes, they do tell you about it, and you guys will see in a lot of these things, they'll tell you about it, but they won't tell you how much. Like, yes, you do have to drive your own car, obviously, but like, I knew that going into it, but then after a while, like, I didn't realize until after a while that, like, dang, I was spending a lot on gas. I was spending a lot on my car. You know, things add up a lot, so it's really important to track your expenses so you know how much you're really making after expenses. Okay, the second one is another thing they don't tell you at all. This is something they don't tell you at all. Well, maybe they do tell it in the app, but you know, nobody reads that stuff anyway. They don't tell you how to deal with bad passengers. When you're driving rideshare, you're gonna have some bad passengers. You're gonna have people who are mean, people who are drunk. You're gonna have people hitting on you. At least this is, you know, talking from personal experience. Like, I had one guy who offered to pay me to hang out with him for the night, you know, and he was like completely flirting with me. And it's like, there's no training or anything that you know, Uber and Lyft never told me, hey Dylan, you know, watch out for them. I had another, like, it was like an 18-year-old, I mean, I'm in California, so the smoking age is 21 here. He asked me, he was like begging me to go inside and buy him cigarettes, and I said no, and he was like getting mad at me that I wouldn't do it. And I'm like, you know, they're just these things, they don't tell you about that, you know. They tell you about the good side. Oh yeah, you're gonna have great experience, it's so much fun, which, don't get me wrong, it can be super fun at times, but you know, at other times as well, you're gonna have bad passengers. So yeah, that's one thing they don't tell you about, that's for sure. All right, number 3. I don't know, how do you guys like cold brew? This is huge. It's like almost as big as my head. Number 3, they definitely don't tell you about this. I found this out the hard way, I guess. Took me maybe a month or 2. It's tiring. They do not tell you how dang tiring it is driving. If you've ever, I mean, if you're thinking about driving and you haven't driven for Uber or Lyft yet, this is how I'm gonna compare it with you. If you've ever gone on a road trip, like a long road trip where you're driving like 10 hours a day, right? At least, like, you know, that's a long day for a road trip, right? You know, and like, I'm excluding stops, you know. You're gonna stop and then you drive again. And you're the only one driving. Like, the people you're driving with don't wanna drive, or if it's your car, and afterwards, you are dead exhausted. That's how it feels driving for Uber and Lyft. You are so dang tired afterwards. Some people, okay, first of all, some people are really good at this. It doesn't tire them out as much, you know. They're sitting back, relaxing, and after the end of the day, they can go out, go for a run, go for a jog, go to the gym, whatever. For me, no, I'm super tired afterwards. I wanna go to bed, and I don't wanna wake up the next day. And then secondly, okay, and then secondly, when I first started, I was super motivated. If you guys know my story, when I signed up, I had like $5,000 of credit card debt and this car loan of $5,000 that I was like super motivated to pay off. I was working like 40 hours a week at my normal job. I had 2 jobs, working 40 hours a week, and then I was driving Uber and Lyft almost every single day on top of that. And I literally, you could have, like, there was nothing that was gonna stop me. I was so motivated, and so even though I was tired, I had this huge push behind me, and I was just like, it was like almost like adrenaline. But after a while, like, when I kind of, you know, paid off the credit cards and I was like just coasting a little bit, and not like, I didn't have the huge motivation to go out and make, you know, I had to make tons of money, because when you're behind on rent and you have to do it or else you're gonna be homeless, you're not worried about being tired. But basically what I'm saying is that after that whole adrenaline kicks in, the adrenaline rush kicks in, you're just trying to get ahead for the month or whatever, or catch up, and then now you're just doing it for side hustle money. You don't have that huge motivation behind you. You realize just how dang tiring it is to drive. And like, guys, to put it bluntly, you know, if you're still thinking about it, if you're, you know, still on the fence about driving, you know, you haven't found out for yourself yet. There was a time, like, there was a couple weeks, like right now I just drive part-time, but there was a couple times, like 2 weeks in a row, I drove full-time, like 40 hours. And I was also working my other job too. So you could imagine, you know, pretty much probably 80 hours a week of work. And I felt sick for a week after. I was like, I just felt so, it's like groggy is almost the right word. Like, you know that feeling when you wake up in the morning after you slept for like, either sometimes you sleep for like 12 hours straight, or like if you're like really behind on sleep, or like 4 hours, and you just wake up and you're like, oh, I just want to go back to bed. It's not even like it's not even like sleepy, it's just like tired. That's how I felt for like a week after that. So yeah, that's just so you guys are aware of that. They definitely don't tell you that. They definitely don't tell you that. Okay, number 4. Another thing that they don't tell you, it's not all fun and games. You know, yeah, I mean, I guess it depends where you get your onboarding and where you do your experience, your inspection, who it is. But even in the app, like, they don't tell you that, you know, usually it's like, oh, every passenger's gonna be nice, every passenger's gonna be fun. No, most passengers, they just get in the car, sit back, and they're either talking to each other or they're sitting on their phone. They don't care who you are, you know, they just want to get to their destination, and they're just using you. Yes, using you, because you're a worker, you know, you're using. They're using you to get from point A to point B. They don't want to take the bus, you know? They don't want to drive. They don't want to park. They're just using you. And a lot of times, you know, you're just gonna be sitting, driving. No smile, not talking, you know? It's not all fun and games. A lot of times you'll be sitting in traffic, you'll be stressed out. And guys, a lot, like, if you haven't had the time to sit down and like think about stuff, if you just been sitting just busy, when you drive Uber and Lyft, you have so much time to think about life. Because a lot of times you're just sitting and you either have the music on low, no one's talking in the back seat, and you have 30-40 minute ride, just silence. And when you have that time, you are thinking. And I like to, you know, it's not even like to, I do like to think, but you're just sitting around thinking, like, about, you're being forced to think. I mean, it's not a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying it's not all fun and games. It's not all the best ride ever, best tips, great tips. And sometimes you're not even making that much money anyway. You know, a lot of times, if you know, it depends what times you're driving, but sometimes you're gonna be waiting in between rides, and you know, you're just sitting, chilling, nothing to do. You know, it's like, yeah, it's not all fun and games. All right, number 5. This one they do tell you, actually, but it's not stressed enough. It's not stressed enough. They do tell you in the app, when you go to sign up, you have to, you know, go through this, but basically it's airport rules. I don't know why, but airports are so complicated with driving Uber and Lyft. It's like, there's pickup, you have to have a placard, at least for most airports, you have to have a placard. You have to use the airport pickup zones, and a lot of times they change. You have to use the correct airport pickup zones. You usually can drop off wherever, but you have to pick up in a certain area. You can only pick up in that area. If you pick up in any other area, you know, you can't sit and wait in the wrong area. There's just a lot of like rules for the airport that you have to figure out. And at the beginning, I just avoided them at all costs because I was too afraid to get a ticket. And I heard when I signed up, the guy, when we were doing our like, you know, inspection or whatever, he's like, oh yeah, I had a friend who got a $2,000 ticket at the airport because he wasn't wearing it. He didn't have his Lyft placard on, or airport placard on. And I was like, dang, I opted. You can opt in. You have to like take a quiz for Uber at least to get your placard and stuff. So, but yeah, airport rules. Make sure you know those. Again, they do tell you that in the app, but it's not stressed enough. I think it should be stressed more. Yeah. Okay, number 6. What they don't tell you, they definitely do not tell you this, is, well, they probably mention it in the app, like, but again, who reads that? But they don't tell you about how many dang unaccompanied minors you get as passengers, requested rides. So many times I pull up and it's like the mom is like, oh, I'm not riding. You're just taking my 8-year-old son to soccer practice. And I'm like, no, I'm not. He has to be 18 or older. And they're like, what? All my other drivers do it. I'm reporting you. And it's like, so many. And like one time I got a ride request from an elementary school, and the kid was like 7 years old. And I was like, or is that middle school? No, that's elementary school, right? Yeah. The kid was like 7 years old, and I was like, hey, I can't pick you up. You have to call your mom and tell them to cancel. You know, you have to be 18 to get a ride. And she canceled, and what happened? 30 seconds later, I get a ride request from the same girl, for the same kid. The moms do not care. Even if they know it's wrong, they still do it. They're lazy, you know. They don't want to pick up their kid from soccer practice. They want to grab an Uber because they know eventually they will get a driver who will. I'm sure after I left, because after a while I just had to drive away to not get that ride request again. I did get 2 cancellation fees though, you know. But I'm sure another driver got the ride request and did pick that kid up. So, you know, they don't tell you how many unaccompanied minors you will get as passengers. All right, and the last one that they don't tell you, number 7, is that there are a lot of scams. There's a lot of scams when you're being a driver. For whatever reason, Uber and Lyft drivers are on the top of the list for scam targets. A lot of people, a lot of weirdos, scammers, target drivers. Why? Because if you think about it, there's no, there's no barrier to entry. You don't need an education, and most of the time it's no skill to be a driver. So a lot of drivers are unskilled. Just throwing that out there, putting it bluntly. And a lot of drivers don't have any formal education, so a lot of drivers do fall for these scams. A lot of them don't know any better, and a lot of them aren't that good at money. That's pretty much why I signed up, because I was really bad at money. I need to get ahead. And so there's a lot of companies that target drivers and saying, hey, we're gonna deactivate your account, pretending to be employees for Uber, but you need to give me your password and I'll fix it. And it's like they just take your funds from your account, or companies will claim, oh, you can get rich with our new rideshare company. All you have to do is pay $300 a month or $100 a month, and you can keep 100% of your fares. And it's like a lot of these drivers are falling for these scams, because a lot of them drive for Uber and Lyft but hate Uber and Lyft at the same time. It's like they have no problem cussing out a company that they work 40-50 hours a week for. Like, I really don't understand that. It's so unhealthy to be so negative for the company that you're working for. But regardless, some other scams, like passengers trying to scam you, trying to get free rides, people trying to squeeze in extra people in the ride in your car, passengers trying to take advantage of you. That just goes along with, not all passengers are great. So there's a lot of scams. That's the 7th one. That's the last one. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit the thumbs up button. Let me know down below, have you ever been scammed as a rider or as a driver? I am curious. I want to hear. And have a great day, guys. I'll talk to y'all soon. This has been another episode of the Rideshare Hub. I'll talk to y'all soon. All right, bye, guys.